Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Gameplay Cast's Warhammer 40k Miniatures Challenge. In this video I'm finally ready to start adding some colour to my miniatures, but warp storms impede my progress. One of my favourite sayings is no plan survives first contact with the enemy, and this struck true almost as soon as I picked up the paintbrush. My original plan was to try and buy the minimal number of paints and supplies to get a good finish on the models, hopefully sell them, and slowly build up my supplies as I got back into the hobby. This hasn't happened. I barely got out of the blocks. I wanted to go for a classic look to my Primaris Marine, and given their increased size and nicely contoured armour, I thought this would be an easy win. And since I've been reading the Dark Imperium novels, I thought sod it, I'll go for Ultramarines in Guilliman's honour. These are great books by the way, so if you like the Warhammer books, I thoroughly recommend this trilogy. So, Zen Slap done. All I had to do now was slap on some contrast paint, do some detailing, and job done. Oh, how wrong I was. In short, Ultramarine Blue is very dark. So dark in fact, I don't think that my zenithal priming actually did anything on the model. In future, I'll definitely be adding some flow improver and or some lighter shades to brighten the colour and try to get it to flow a bit better. Top tip is to look at the bottom of your paint and look for sediment, because if there's a lot of sediment there, this can mean that your paint is going to be quite dark and possibly blotchy, which is what I experienced on the model. Though this could be down to my application method being a bit uneven. Having watched a few tutorials, it seems contrast paint needs to be applied smoothly and in multiple coats, and once it's actually on the model, you can't really move it around very much. Oops. Moreover, as per the original method, I think when you're going to use contrast paints and slap chop, you should always undercoat in black, not grey. I bought grey as I plan to paint Horus Lupercal in Lunar Wolf colours at a later date, after this challenge is completed, and because of this I just used whichever primer I had at hand, obviously Mechanic's Grey. Unfortunately, using the grey with my Zen Slap method really hasn't given me the depth of shadow and highlights that I'd really hoped for.
Heresy grows from idleness.
In the end, I did my best to detail the model and tidy everything up. And you know what? I think it scrubbed up pretty well. For my first attempt in 20 years, I'm actually pretty pleased with it. I think once I've done some highlighting and picked out the detail, it will look pretty damn good, if I say so myself. Obviously, the main base coat was the Ultramarine Blue contrast paint. I then used Abaddon Black for all the joints, and some Nuln Oil to add darker shadows to some of the recesses and details. I used Flesh Tearers Red for the eye lenses and Purity Seal wax. I painted the pouches and Purity Seal paper with a white base coat and then used the Snakebite Leather contrast paint on those. The bolt rifle was done in Leadbelcher Silver and the casing in black and then washed with Nuln Oil. All the trim and gold detail is Retributed Gold with a wash of Gulliman's Flesh, and I picked out some of the backpack details in Leadbelcher Silver too. The base I painted with a few shades of grey for the stonework, white for the skulls, black for the cables, and then washed the whole thing with Agrak's Earthshade, which turned out pretty great and took no time at all. As I say, for my first miniature paint job in 20 years, I'm pleased with how it turned out. I was just hoping for more depth from the base coat. It's also quite blotchy, so I'll be looking to correct this for the final reveal. This was definitely a case of one step forward, two steps back, as further issues were discovered. Basically, the brushes that I bought sucked. I was finding them difficult to use and losing loads of time correcting mistakes. So I looked at the fancy Artis Opus brushes that all the other YouTubers seem to use, and no wonder. They charge £56, I think it is, for 4 brushes. I paid £20 for 8. Clearly some cheap Amazon knockoffs. So those brushes went back, and I bought some mid-range ones from the Army Painter. I also didn't have enough colours to layer up the Ultramarine the way I liked in terms of the highlights and the midtones, so naturally I needed to order more paint. All in all though, I'm now confident I can get a good finish on the model, but you'll have to wait until the grand reveal episode to see how this one turned out. In the next episode, I'll be moving on to my OG Demon prints. Let me know what you think of my first attempt in the comments, as well as your experiences and issues with contrast paints, as well as how you overcame them. I've been Tim from Gameplay Casts, peace out and thanks for watching.